Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bree, and today's video is going to be reading some historical new releases. So, I really like historical fiction, specifically historical mystery, and I've been really getting into it this year, but I want to stay on top of new releases a little bit better than I have in the past, and I also want to review them. Let me just go through them and then I'll decide which one I think I'm going to read first. So the first one I have, I believe, released in March, and that is The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. Mr. Wickham is a character from one of Jane Austen's novels, and he is murdered while Emma and Mr. Knightley are throwing a party at their estate, and it's all involving the characters of Jane Austen novels, and one of them did it. And so it's kind of a who did it, but with Jane Austen characters. I think that this sounds like so fun, and I've been really liking kind of retellings, so this would be a retelling, and that seems to be my thing. So I'm gonna pick that up. Then this came out in June, and it was, June 28th. This is Harlem Sunset by Nikisa Afia, and she's the author of Dead Girls, which I read around the time it came out last year, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great debut novel to a series, and this is a Harlem Renaissance mystery series where we follow our main character, Louise, and Louise ended up solving mystery of what happened to these girls. It's a sapphic romance as well, and I just really enjoyed this story, and so I'm really excited to see where the second one goes. We're back following Louise, and I think it looks like this is going to involve her good friend Raphael, which is the brother of her girlfriend, Rosa Maria, and so I think they're maybe all gonna get swept up in this. We'll see, but I'm really excited to get to this, and it's a quick read too, so I think it's a good mystery series because it goes by fast, and I'm excited to see what the second one does. Then I have an ARC that I was kindly sent by Kensington Publishers, and that is Vanessa Riley's Murder in Westminster. It's the first in a Lady Worthing mystery series, and this is set in, if I remember, it doesn't say, but I think it's it's Regency, but it doesn't say the exact date in here. But I think I'm just going to read you the back so that I can sum it up a little bit better. So, discovering a body on her property presents Lady Abigail Worthing with more than one pressing problem. The victim is Juliet, the wife of her neighbor, Stapleton Henderson. Although Abigail has little connection with the lady in question, she expects to be under suspicion. Abigail's skin color and her mother's notorious past have earned her a certain reputation among the ton, and no amount of wealth or status will eclipse it. It looks like she's part of a secret pro-abolition meetings and stuff, so she's going to have to solve the murder to basically clear her name. And Vanessa Riley is a Black author, and so I think it's really going to be really great to read from a Black author in the historical mystery genre of this time period too. So, really excited to get to this. I requested it from them, and I'm so excited. So, maybe this is the first one I read. Then we have A Rip Through Time by Kelly Armstrong. I think this came out in May or June or July. Not July. This came out in May or June. I don't know too much except for that I think this woman is in the FBI, if I remember correctly. She's a homicide detective, and she is investigating a case, and I think she gets almost killed in this location, which sends her back in time to the same location but 100 years prior, and that's where another one was killed in that exact spot, and then she's trying to probably get back and investigate what happened to this woman back then. And I've read a time travel mystery series before called The Murder in Time. It's called the Kendra Donovan series, and I really liked it. I had a great time. I thought it was a fun beach read, so I picked this one up because I've been looking for that fun historical mystery with a little bit of fantastical thrown in there, and I think this will be the perfect option for it. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this. So these are my options, and I think I'll check back in when I've decided what I'm going to read, but for now, these are what I will be reading this vlog. Hi, I wanted to update you because I started Murder in Westminster by Vanessa Riley. This is the first in a Lady Worthing mystery, and this is set in Regency time, following Abigail, and she has married this Lord Worthing, and so she has raised her station, and she is a mixed race woman who is half Scottish, half Jamaican, and she's in London, and her husband is away at sea, and she's kind of dealing with a couple of things. One, she's dealing with being a mixed race woman in high society, so she also goes to these secret pro-abolition meetings that she can't let anyone know about, so she's trying to find ways to go to these meetings in secret. And while that is all going down, her neighbor is found murdered in her backyard, and she doesn't have an alibi for that time because she was trying to go to a secret abolition meeting. So she has to try to figure out what's going on to make sure she isn't wrongly accused, but also because she just feels it's right. Basically, we know that the lady who was killed is Lady Henderson, and her husband were kind of almost going to get a divorce. They were separated and were fighting, and everyone like kind of knew it. And so it's kind of like, is the husband guilty or is it someone else? And there's a lot of mystery to it. So the beginning starts with a prologue from Lady Henderson's perspective, and then the rest is from Abigail's perspective. I'm on page 115, and I'm having a good time. I think that the one thing I want a little bit more of is a friendship story that would really like drive it home, because she has her cousin Flo that I like, but we've only got a snippet of that. And then she has like a father figure to her that's not her father, it's her godfather. And I find that dynamic interesting. I think Vanessa Riley is writing a lot of complicated relationships, and I like that. I really enjoy that there's that aspect, because sometimes in historical mysteries it's too clean cut. But I want another friendship to see more of, so I really hope we get more of Flo in this and get to see their dynamic together a bit more. I think I've learned that Vanessa Riley has written some historical romance before, but I think this might be her first, and historical fiction, but I think this is her first historical mystery. So I think that's partly why this is so good for a debut like historical mystery, is that you can tell like she has some experience in writing historical fiction, and I'm having a good time. So I'm going to finish this and let you know my final thoughts. Hello, it is quite a few days later. I have been traveling and working on some stuff, so I just haven't had time to update, but I wanted to come in and say I finished Murder in Westminster Abbey by Vanessa Riley, and I think I'm going to give this 3 stars. I think that there was a lot that I enjoyed, but then the mystery itself, I think there was just some things that I wish were done a little differently. So for things I liked, there was this element of her having like visions, like she can see the future, but it was like just a very, very small portion. Like it was mentioned a couple times, but I wish it was like more of the story, because I found that so interesting. And I would hope like the rest of the series would like dive more into that, because I thought that was a really cool addition. And I liked that there's like almost like a touch of magic, because I'm really into that kind of stuff. So there was that I really liked. And I think the conversations around abolition was really interesting. And she was like having to go to like secret meetings and stuff, and I thought that was like a cool like side part to the mystery itself, because it kind of like created some intrigue for her in terms of like alibi and mystery, but also just like gave more to her character and to this greater story, especially being like a Black woman in Victorian or Regency times. Again, that was like something that was like touched on, but I just felt like it could have been more. But I also know, like, for the first book, I think it was a good introduction to it and to see what she would do, like, going forward. So I enjoyed that, and I think that the main character herself was interesting, and, like, her family dynamics. But I think the theme that I felt with this was, like, there's always something I just wanted more of. So, like, the family dynamics I wanted more of, and, like, there was a lot of things mentioned, like, her sister, like, has run away, and you don't know why, and it's, like, talked about from the very beginning, but like you're never given more of it, and I just wanted to like understand her world and what was like going on. But the mystery itself, so like she has solved 2 other mysteries. This is her like first murder, and I get like it set up for like her being able to solve mysteries and work with the detective, but it felt like I was being like thrown into like the second or third book in the series because of that. Like there was a lot of things that was just like said that I feel like we should have like gotten backstory for. And so I just felt like I was reading a second book and I like missed out on the first one. And so I just kept wanting to like go back and read the first one. From that, the mystery itself was okay. I don't think it was like a very like revolutionary mystery. I didn't like dislike it. But I just felt like okay about it. And I'm really like sad, because I really wanted to like really love this one. and it just kind of like fell a little flat. Like I was just a little disappointed in how like the story played out. I don't think like I think if you're a historical reader who like looks for like very historically accurate books, I think this has some like it has accuracy, but then there are definitely like parts that are like played with for accuracy, but that I enjoyed because I like having a little leniency in things. But I know that that's like a common criticism for historical mysteries and fiction a lot of times is people don't think that they're historically accurate, so that's just something to note. But I really like I enjoyed the writing and things like that, and I would probably pick up this author in the future. I just think that this one was a little underwhelming for me, and I wish it was more because this is my first ever arc, and I really, really wanted to love it. I just didn't, and I wouldn't say it's a bad book or I wouldn't not recommend this book to people. It just like fell a little flat for me. But I think it was like really good to see a like person of color written into these kind of stories because I just haven't consumed a lot, and I definitely will be looking for that even more. I have some from like 1920s earlier, but this is the first like Regency I found, and so I definitely want to look into more of those. And I enjoyed that this didn't take a place at a lot of social gatherings, which is something that I tend to like not gravitate towards, so this was another point for that book. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and I'm gonna give it 3 stars. So that is the first book of this reading vlog. Hello, it's a bit later now, and I wanted to check in because I am 100 pages into A Rip Through Time by Kelly Armstrong. What I didn't realize was that Kelly Armstrong has written a lot of fantasy books. One I remember from when I was young called like The Awakening or The Reckoning, and I don't think I ever read it, or if I did, I don't remember it. And she wrote like Frostbitten, which I remember seeing, and Bitten. So those were all like, I think like 2002 type releases, but I haven't read anything else, but she has a huge backlist. And I'm 100 pages in, and basically we're following Mallory as she is thrown back in time. So she's like in Edinburgh, and she's Canadian, but her grandma lives in Edinburgh. And so she visits her like every year, and her grandma's dying. So she's visiting her one last time. And while she's on a run at night, she is almost like she's strangled. And then she wakes up and she's back in time. And she like was witnessing this woman get strangled as she was getting strangled. And it turns out it was like the same person, like, but like it turns out it was someone else being strangled back in time. And so she like somehow like traveled through time into that person's body. So now she's in that person's body. And I'm enjoying that. I feel like I really like time travel mysteries or mysteries that play with time or like switching bodies. Like I liked I really liked The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Cardcastle, and this one plays with like him jumping through to different bodies, and I really liked that aspect. And then I've read a mystery before that was kind of like romance mystery that time traveled, and I just think they're fun. Like this one reminds me a lot of the Murder in Time, the Kendra Donovan series, where she's an FBI agent who falls back in time, and they're just like a little bit ridiculous, but I think that they keep the mystery interesting because they're like in this new place. For me, the Kendra Donovan series did get a little repetitive because it's a series, where I think this is just going to be a standalone, so I think I'll like it a little bit more. But I like the main character. I think she's like funny, and I enjoy like seeing her try to figure out how to like navigate this world because she doesn't know like the words they use and what like kind of what's been invented and stuff like that. So she's kind of like flying by the seat of her pants, and I enjoy reading about that. I think it's fun. And basically she is a housemaid, and she's realizing this housemaid is not like as meek as she originally thought and maybe got into some stuff. And she's also trying to find her way back home, which I think these two things will become entwined. And it did say romance, so there might be a romance in here. But right now it's just I'm having fun. I feel like these books are books that like are why I pick up like things like Finley Donovan is Killing It, or those like even though they're like different genre, they're still funny. It's like stuff like this. It's just like a lighthearted mystery that like you don't have to take too seriously. You don't have to think so hard about it. And I just have fun. And it adds this little like fantasy type sci-fi element with the time travel. So I just think it's a book that's like meant for me. So I glad I picked it up. I think so far it's been a hit. And I can't say more than that because I'm not too far in, but I'm hoping to get further through today. But probably will not update you till tomorrow. But yeah, I just wanted to update with my thoughts and keep on reading.
Call me out, tiger. Call me out, why don't you laugh? Lift me up higher above the clouds, won't you love? When the scenery is right, go right in. I wanna fall deep within. Don't leave me hanging just 'cause I'm too proud. Whisper away my outdated doubts. Somebody do me the courtesy, dress me down. I'm not that old yet, I'm far too young to not stand my ground. Well, my ways are mine and I don't wanna change, not even for love. Now take back all them hard words. I'm a grown woman with confidence and sense. In the middle, meet me in the middle. I'm a riddle, figure me out. We'll tornadoes, we'll drink morning dew, and we'll be lovers, me you, full force tiger.
Hello, it has been a while, but I finished A Rip Through Time by Kelly Armstrong, so I wanted to talk about it with you. I think initial thoughts is like a 3.5 star because overall, I feel like the story was fun. Like, I really enjoy a time travel mystery where someone travels back in time and has to like solve this mystery, and I really liked this added concept of the fact that the main character Mallory is transported into Catriona's body, and so she's going about things from the body of a housemaid instead of just like herself being thrown back in time. I found that very interesting, and I thought the mystery itself overall was pretty good. I just think there were some things that were like a little too convenient. I feel like it was enjoyable, but not something that I am like blown away by or would want to recommend to everyone. I think if you maybe like time travel mysteries, it would be a good one to check out. But I don't know. Like, it's something where I'll continue in the series, but it's just not like, I just don't have that initial like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. And I think that might be because the pacing was a little slow in certain parts. I felt like we were spending a lot of time trying to put together Catriona's past from Mallory's perspective, and it like helped, but it didn't really further the mystery a ton. But I did enjoy that this was a little less on the like, sometimes in time travel, especially with like mysteries, they're always like, oh, I wish I had fingerprinting. Like, it'd be so much easier if I had my phone. And like, while she does that a couple times, I didn't feel like it was overpowering in the story. But I think I've really learned that I do like also dual perspectives, because I really would have loved to get like Isla's perspective, which is the sister in the house that she's a maid in, and then Dr. Gray's perspective, which is the brother who is a doctor. He's like kind of like a coroner. He's like a funeral director, but he does coroner things, but he's like not allowed to with the police, so it's kind of like a under the radar thing. And I just feel like their perspectives would have been really, really interesting to get, and instead we were just in her mind, which I get why. But I think I just really like getting multiple characters' perspectives. I feel like it fleshes them out a little bit more for me. So yeah, I think I'm going to give this 3.5, and that's that. And I'll start on my next book. Hello. I am here to update you on Harlem Sunset. That's the book I decided to start with, and it is about 284 pages, and I just reached page 100, so I am losing my bookmark. Struggling. So I am not quite halfway through, but I'm making some good progress, and I actually bought these tabs and off Amazon, and I've been tabbing my book for the first time ever since college. So I have been going a little crazy with it, if you could see. I decided to just do 4, so I did quotes I like, and then discussion points, characters, and then this is for important, so if I think it's going to be important to the plot. And mostly I've been using character or important to the plot, but I have a few discussion things. This is, if you don't know, this is the second book in the Harlem Renaissance series by Nakisa Afia, and it is following the events of the first one, but now there's another mystery that she gets swept into, and this one is looking like her partner, Rosa Maria, is being like framed for murder, and so she is going to figure out what is actually happening. So one of the things that I feel like is from the standpoint of her having to figure out the murder. So basically it opens and they are like all partying and they get drugged, and then they wake up and there's one of the girls that they were partying with is now dead, and Rosa Maria has like her blood all over her. And I feel like the way that the police just like got there right when they were waking up and she convinced them to let her investigate, like, just seemed a little weird to me because they like literally just let her go. And so it was just kind of like a very quick, like, this all happened like in the first like 20 pages, and just felt very fast for them to just say like, oh yeah, you can investigate. So that was just one like nitpick thing, and I feel like the book itself, it just seems to be going a little quickly, and really I just don't even know where it's going, because there is like like the very first chapter is told from a different perspective. It's third person, but we're following Luis's perspective like the whole time, and the first chapter is from another woman's perspective, and so I'm like, I feel like it is hard to tell like if that person's the villain or is that just like a red herring. So I'm having fun with that, and it's a really really quick read. Like, I have read this first 100 pages probably in just like an hour or so. I feel like I'm gonna finish this today, if not tomorrow, just depending on how much I feel like reading. But it's a quick read and I enjoy Luis and stuff. I just feel like the mystery itself is a little fast and a little like unrealistic of how she would go about like being able to investigate. But other than that, I'm having a good time. So I will update you when I finished and let you know my final thoughts on it. Hello. I am here to update you that I finished Harlem Sunset by Nakisa Afia, and I think I have to give it 2.5 stars. I feel like I was disappointed by this one. I had like high hopes for it coming off of the first one. The first one I gave a 3-star. I felt like the first one had things that I noticed, but I was like, it's a debut and I hope like it's stuff that she would like improve upon. And I feel like this just went a direction I just didn't like, and I feel like the mystery just wasn't strong for me. Like, I knew who it was since the first chapter, and I thought there'd be some more red herrings, but there wasn't. And I don't know, I just felt like there were some choices made that just aren't my favorite tropes, and so that like brought the enjoyment down. But mainly it was the fact that like the mystery just didn't hold my attention the way I wanted it to, and the decisions of our main character Luis, I didn't enjoy them. And I don't have to enjoy a character, but the decisions she was making felt different than the decisions from the first one. But I did like the exploration of like grief in here and kind of like PTSD, because she's dealing with everything that she went through in the first one and some of the events of the first one that are directly affecting her now. that would be spoilers, so I don't want to say. And so I don't know, I'm disappointed. I wanted to love it more than I do, and I don't think I'm going to continue on with the series just because I think that I don't know, I just don't feel connected to it anymore. But I did learn that I'm having a fun time tabbing and I want to continue doing that, but I don't know if I'll do it for every book or just books that I'm really like enjoying. But I did have a good time with it. It was like fun to do. Though I like get really annoyed if they're not all straight. And so I had to like redo them a lot, and they're not all straight and or the same length, and that kind of bugs me, but that's fine. That's just personal problem. So yeah, so I finished that. And where is it? I started this morning The Murder of Mr. Wickham, and I am only about 26 pages in, so I really don't have any feelings, but I feel bad because I feel like I'm kind of burnt out on reading historical mystery right now, and so I feel like by reading this one I might be doing a disservice to the book because I've given, I think, no higher than a 3-star on any of the books I've read so far for this reading vlog. So I'm just like kind of feeling meh about it, but I'm gonna give it my all, and if I'm not feeling it and I feel like it's just because of the fact that I don't really want to be reading historical mystery at the moment, then I will put it down. But I'm gonna give it a try. I thought if I tabbed every 100 pages that would help me, because I'm just gonna try to get through like 100 pages a day to just keep it feeling like I'm making progress and not putting as much pressure on it. Like I just feel like this will help me feel like I'm making progress. So we've just been introduced to like all the characters, and it's basically like all the characters of Jane Austen novels. And the beginning, the author Claudia Gray does a timeline of when the books, like events of each book happened, and basically saying like she took some liberties with it, but there's also no real like dates really except for Persuasion. So she took some liberties with it and kind of like detailed it out at the beginning, and I thought that was interesting. I'm not someone who, I wouldn't think about how accurate it is to the first ones, only if like the characters felt completely different or there was like events that happened from the books that were like completely changed. I guess what I mean is like if someone wasn't like married because she just like decided that that didn't happen in the books, like that would bug me. But the fact that it's just like a retelling, I don't put a lot of stock into like, is it exactly accurate? I won't be coming at this from a perspective of like a hardcore Jane Austen fan. So if you are a Jane Austen fan, I don't know if my review will be like 100% of like accuracy. Guess what I'm saying? I feel like that made sense. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It reads a little bit like a Jane Austen novel, which is writing that's a little hard for me to get into, but I feel like it's easy to understand at least. And yeah, I don't know what to think. We're just getting introduced to everyone, and they're all gonna come stay at Emma and and they're all gonna stay at the Knightley's house. So they all have a reason for coming, and Mr. Wickham is gonna die at some point, but haven't got to that. Just been kind of introduced to everyone and like what they've been up to since the events ended of the Jane Austen books, basically. And yeah, I'm intrigued. I am not bored, but I'm like bored of historical mystery, so I haven't been like wanting to pick it up. So we'll see. But I'm hoping to finish this soon, and I'll update you more when I have like more thoughts. But hello, I am now at 204 pages of The Murder of Mr. Wickham. I can't remember when I last updated you. It's been a little bit. This has been a slow burn for me. I think for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is that I've just not been in the mood for historical mystery, so I feel like I'm just like kind of pushing myself through this. But I also feel like it's just the story itself. So I didn't hate Jane Austen when I read it in school, but I definitely am not as much of a reader of like slice of life or romance or things like that. And for classics, I feel like it leans towards that, where the classics I really loved were like Frankenstein, Dracula, things that just had a little bit of like weird to them, less about just like the life of someone in this time. Oh, Pippi, you can come in here. He'll be back soon. He just closed the door so I can record. And this is just very like Jane Austen, which obviously it's the Jane Austen characters, but I was hoping it was going to be much more mystery, and there is a mystery, but it's very like slow, and I should have expected that, but I didn't think it would be as slow as it is. But I think if you do like Jane Austen, I feel like this could be good, but I'm also not a Jane Austen expert, so like the accuracy in this, I've read Emma, Mansfield Park, and Northanger Abbey, and I think one more, but not Pride and Prejudice or Sense and Sensibility. So like I don't know everything that goes on in here, and there's a lot of like talk about like previous stuff that happened in the other books. So yeah, but I think that one of the reasons I don't like this is you're just flipping around from so many perspectives. So like in each thing, it'll like be a chapter, and then I'll have this divider and it'll go to a new perspective. And I feel like that makes it confusing, but also makes it read slower. I don't love all the perspectives because like usually I like multiple POVs, but this has like at least 15 different POVs, and I think that's too much for me, where I wish we were just getting it from like maximum like 3 or 4 perspectives. It's just a difficult thing for me to get through because I just feel like there's certain things in here that I don't love. We're in the heads of 2 people the most, Jonathan Darcy and Juliet Tilney. They're both trying to solve the murder together, and Jonathan is supposed to be autistic, though it's not explicitly said. Everything that is described is him being autistic, but I don't think it's necessarily like being super offensive in what it's doing. It's just that like it reads like you just took like textbook autism and like put it in a character. Everything. It's like everything that is like listed on autistic traits is just like, let me just throw this in here to like make it so it's more autism. And I just keep picking up books that are not by autistic authors, at least not openly autistic authors. I'm not sure. I've tried to look up if Claudia Gray is autistic, but it hasn't had, like I haven't found anything. But I really want recommendations for like autistic characters written by autistic people, because I feel like I just keep finding the like more stereotypical ones, and I really want to like find a character I can connect with, and I'm not going to find that through an author who's not autistic, I think. So there's that. Overall, I don't think it's like terrible. I find myself like not really caring, and I think if I was a bigger Jane Austen fan, this would hit better for me, and if it wasn't as slow. Like they're all in this house and they're all kind of just doing things and talking and whatever, and everyone has their motive, and it's not keeping my interest. And I'm really trying to figure out with the historical mysteries like what I like in historical mysteries, because I just really think I need variety. Like I need something different than just like the same thing. That's why I struggle with mysteries too, is like I love them, but I tend to like need breaks from them because they're repetitive in nature, and so I need things that are a little bit different. That's how I'm feeling. Overall, like I just feel like this reading vlog has been a little blah, but that's okay. There's gonna be those books, and I haven't truly like hated anything I've read. It's just been like 3-star territory for me, this reading vlog. So I will check back in when I've officially finished. Alright, so I finished Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray, and I feel like it's like 2.5 stars for me. I feel like I was so bored a lot of the time, and I didn't like the multiple points of view. Like there was just too many. I didn't like the autism representation. I feel like he didn't have a personality outside of his autism, and it just felt like everything was like having to come back to that, and everyone else kind of got a little bit more personality. And the actual mystery in the end was just not like, I don't know, I could have taken it or even left it. It wasn't anything like amazing to me, and so I I don't think this is like a terrible book necessarily. I feel like it has an audience and that audience is not me. I think maybe if you like classics a lot, you could really get into this, or if you like classics and mysteries, this could be something that you might like, but I don't think that it was like super super problematic. I just think it was like a whatever book. Like I could have not read it and been perfectly fine. So I think I'm gonna give it 2.5, which is disappointing because I was really excited for this one. But I also feel like I should know by now. Like in my head, this was going to be much more mystery than classic, and it leans much more classic than mystery to me. And I should have like realized that, given that it's about Jane Austen characters, but I didn't. And so that's a note for me for the future, is that I just don't think books like this are going to be my cup of tea. So here are all the books I read this reading vlog. I had I think it was 2.5, 2.5, 3, and 3. I don't remember if I said more, but when I think about it now, it's a 3. So yeah, a little disappointing of a reading vlog. No new favorites, but that's okay. I'm still learning what I like in a mystery. I actually think this is a 3.5, but I'm learning what I like in a historical mystery, and so it's just going to take a few duds to find what I really love. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.